Today is December 30th. It's the 365th day of the year, and this is the On This Day podcast. On this day in 1853, the Gadsden Purchase is initiated, the purchase of nearly 30,000 square miles of land along the U.S.-Mexico border, a big chunk of earth west of the Rio Grande and south of the Gila River, an area that is now the southern portions of Arizona and New Mexico. American ambassador to Mexico James Gadsden signs the purchase treaty on this day in 1853, setting in motion the process of approvals by the Mexican Congress and the U.S. Senate. The land is purchased for the purpose of building a railroad for the completion of a southern transcontinental route built and operated by the Southern Pacific Railroad. The large portion of the southwestern United States that includes Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, and California becomes part of the U.S. with the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, the peace treaty between Mexico and the U.S. that ends the Mexican-American War. But the topography of this region of the Southwest proves to be too mountainous for a railroad, and a railroad is desired to connect commercial interests in the South with those on the West Coast. And the most desirable route is through what is at the time the uppermost part of Mexico, south of the Rocky Mountains. And so the purchase is negotiated, and Ambassador Gadsden signs the purchase treaty on this day in 1853. And with the Gadsden Purchase, America ends its era of expansion in the contiguous United States and officially defines the borders of what will later become known as the Lower 48 States. The Gadsden Purchase is finalized in 1854 after the U.S. Senate and Mexican Congress approve the purchase treaty, but it will be another 3 decades before the railroad is built, delayed by the breakout of the Civil War. On this day in 1896, Montreal Victoria's forward Ernie Maclay scores the first ever hat trick in Stanley Cup play against the Winnipeg Victorias. Ernie scores 3 goals in the game, and it's his 3rd goal that wins the game, Montreal defeating Winnipeg 6-5 on this day in 1896. And on this day in 1981, the man they call the Great One, Wayne Gretzky, scores 5 goals for the Edmonton Oilers against the Philadelphia Flyers, the Oilers beating the Flyers 7-5 on this day, Gretzky scoring his 50th goal of the season in the final seconds of the game. 50 goals in 50 games is a noted achievement in the National Hockey League, and the Great One scores his 50th goal of the season in just 39 games on this day in 1981. Gretzky finishes the 1981-82 NHL season with a record-setting 92 goals for the season. That's more than 10% of the 894 goals he scores in his 20-season career, which is also an NHL record for most career goals. Just a couple of reasons why they call Wayne Gretzky the Great One. And an interesting variety of people are born on this day, the second to last day of the year. Born on this day in 1865, English author Rudyard Kipling. Kipling is best known for his Jungle Books, which he begins writing while living in Vermont, Gunga Din, The White Man's Burden, The Man Who Would Be King, and his Just So stories. Kipling is awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1907. Also born on this day in 1934, actor Russ Tamblyn. Born in Los Angeles, discovered at the age of 10 and cast in The Boy with Green Hair. Tamblyn works steadily from then on, turns out lots of great performances, but really, we all know and love Russ Tamblyn most for his portrayal of Dr. Lawrence Jacoby on the TV series Twin Peaks. Another TV great born on this day in 1940, director-producer James Burrows, co-creator of Cheers and quite possibly the greatest TV director of all time. It's safe to say he's directed the best episodes of Cheers, Frasier, Will and Grace, Third Rock from the Sun, Wings, Night Court, Taxi, Laverne and Shirley, and The Mary Tyler Moore Show, to mention just a handful of the hundreds of shows Burrows has bestowed his magic touch upon. Born on this day in 1942, singer-songwriter Mike Nesmith, guitarist for the Monkees, and born on this day in 1945, Davy Jones, also of the Monkees. Also born on this day in 1945, Lloyd Kaufman, director, producer, and mastermind behind Troma Entertainment, the ultra-low-budget film studio best known for such highbrow fare as The Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High, Tromeo and Juliet, and Poultrygeist. Born on this day in 1946, singer-songwriter Patti Smith, an icon of the New York punk scene and art scene of the 1970s and beyond. Smith explodes on the scene with her debut album Horses in 1975, featuring one of my favorite songs, Patti Smith's cover of the Van Morrison song Gloria. And finally born on this day in 1959, English singer, actress, writer, comedian, Tracey Ullman. She does it all and makes it all look so effortless. Ullman hits it big in the U.S. with her 1987 Fox TV series, The Tracey Ullman Show, a sketch show that wins 10 Emmy Awards and spawns the animated Fox series, The Simpsons. There is one day left in the year. On This Day is produced by me, Dave Schultz. Thank you very much for listening. We're nearing the end of the 10 Days of On This Day podcast, a collection of my favorite episodes of the year. And it was so hard to choose a favorite out of the whole bunch, so these last two episodes are both my favorite episode of the year, because it's my show and I can do that. So today, for my favorite episode, part 1, we revisit October 16th, the execution of Marie Antoinette. Check it out on Twitter at OnThisDayPod. Again, that's at OnThisDayPod, or Facebook /OnThisDayPodcast. And if you're still listening, have another slice. Talk to you tomorrow.